Megawannen everyone, and this is Elinwindil Uigaren, bringing you some Elder Scrolls Legends. This game was just released from out of its NDA agreements, and as such it is now allowed to stream and capture it. So I thought I would have a look at it because I've been playing it a little bit, and I absolutely think it is beautifully made, looks gorgeous and plays wonderfully. It is best to note that it's still in beta and there are still bugs, and it is possible that things will change between now and release. Nevertheless, it is a very, very solid candidate and very, very good. So what is Elder Scrolls Legends? Well, it is a card collecting game, a CCG, in the same class as Hearthstone, I would say. You probably are aware of what Hearthstone are, and I will be comparing quite a lot to that game throughout this small little look at what Elder Scrolls Legends is. And what it is basically, well, it's a card collecting game. So you can collect your cards, craft decks, and then you just play with them. There are key differences between Hearthstone, many of which are in the play, but also in deck creating. And I was thinking like this: I am first going to show you a little bit of a game, so we're going to jump right into it so I can explain what's happening, and then we are going to have a look at the deck collecting and deck creation and that sort of fun things. Immediately noticeable here is of course that there's a story button. Let's click on that first. I'm not going to play here, but let's have a look at what it is. So this is different already in that it has a story in it. Works simply like that. You begin here at chapter 1 with a few videos spattered around. You play through these videos, but these chapters. All of the chapters work like a tutorial, introducing new elements all the time. So for instance here you just have a simple, you play this card and it attacks, that sort of thing. Then maybe you get introduced like mana, and they explain a little bit more how that works. Then you get the coin, slightly differently in this game but nevertheless, and so on and so forth. They keep introducing new systems, which I think is fantastic. It's also worth mentioning that after completing almost each of these chapters you get some type of reward. And I'm not joking, you get something like maybe a card, you get potentially some shards, which is basically like, well, shards, so it's dust if you compare to Hearthstone, and so on and so forth. So it's brilliant in that sense. You get free cards, you even get packs, and you get a few pre-made decks, so you get a bit of feel for it and can play around with that immediately. And of course you get a gold in the sense of that. But without further ado, let's jump into a practice mode so I can explain properly. Sure, novice, I have not played practice matches, which is why these other ones are locked. Nevertheless, let's take the novice. These 5 here, Warrior of Hammerfell, Dunmer Avenger, Band of Survivors, Blackmarsh Smugglers and Imperial Might, are all decks that are pre-generated and given to you throughout the storyline. Sorcerer here, that is one of my own collections, or one of my own creation. So let's have a look at how it plays, and then we are going to discuss a little bit more about how the game plays, what to think about, what the different things are. You may have noticed there were different symbols between the decks. Let's not worry too much about them, but they decide what type of deck you have. Okay, so this is my deck. It's a sorcerer deck. It's a blue-purple deck. Suffice to say, it is a control style deck that favors big creatures and protective magic. The blue one being magic, being one of the five ability scores used in Elder Scrolls, and endurance being the purple one, being strength. So we are going to choose cards to replace, just like you would in Hearthstone, and I'm just going to throw away the Plea to Kynareth because I don't think I will be needing it too quickly. So let's just do that. Right, so what's going on here? Let's take it in short snippets. Let's start with the board. As can clearly be seen here, the board is separated into 2 lanes, 1, 2, and with some sort of divider in between. So this is a key difference, and I will stress key difference between this game and Hearthstone, making, I believe, this game much more strategically involved and much more reliant on what type of strategies you will employ. This game, I would say, also favors less or has less RNG in it compared to Hearthstone, meaning that the cards will more often do something that you want them to do than something you don't want them to do. Random effects are still in the game. Of course they are here because it's a computer CCG and we should take advantage of that. But they are much less prevalent than those in Hearthstone, and I think that is absolutely fantastic. So the big difference, well, one of the big important features of having two lanes is this. If you play a creature, you can play them in any lane, there's no restrictions. But if you play a creature in, say, the left lane, then they can't attack creatures on the right lane. Right? So that's a key difference here. You can't attack with creatures on the right lane to the left. So if you see that, oh no, my opponent has a lot of creatures on the left hand side, maybe you can't challenge it right now, but you know you are so close to winning and he has nothing on the right side. You can play maybe a charge creature on the right side and just hit him in the face for that and win that way. So there's a lot of strategy and attempting to control both sides, or just focusing on one and then clearing the other one with spells or something. So there's a lot of strategy involved in that. Right, what are these things? Well, these indicate what type of lane it is. Whilst playing ladder and in versus arena, that is arena against other players, you will always, I think, have these two lanes. There's a standard lane, works exactly like you would, nothing is special about it. You can have 4 creatures in it, no more than 4. However, if you choose to summon a 5th creature, you will get to destroy another creature. You will get to choose a creature that will be destroyed, which is a key difference as well. I think that is fantastic. Makes it much easier to trigger last gasp effects, which are basically death rattle effects. So that's fantastic. Only works if the lane is full, however. And then we have the infamous right lane here. In this case it is a shadow lane. And this works as follows. If you play a creature in here, it will be given cover. Simple as that. Cover is basically stealth with a key difference. If you play something here, and it does not have guard, that is taunt, it will be hidden, cloaked, you would say. It will be hidden from enemy attacks, and this is important. Only enemy attacks. It can still be targeted by spells and actions and so on and so forth, but you can't attack them. Right, so that's a key difference. They are protected from attacks, which will make them survive, more likely to survive at least one turn in combat. Especially if your opponent has a lot of creatures here. You can play something here and he can't kill it with creatures. He could use a spell or something to destroy it, but he can't use creatures to kill it. Not for one turn, then the stealth dissipates, but cover dissipates, but I think it is fantastic. For example, if you have a creature which just needs to survive one turn, you obviously want to play it most of the time on the right hand side, because then it will be guaranteed protection from creature attacks. I say guaranteed, there are ways to get it out of cover, of course, by silencing it, for instance, but on the whole it is quite protected. So that's a key difference, and I think it is fantastic to have a shadow lane, because it acts also almost as a combat mechanic, because you can play creatures and then build up a board and then buff them and make it more easier to kill opponent's creature without them killing your creature before you can combo it up. Guard creatures, i.e. taunt creatures, can't be stealthed here, or won't get cloak. They will always be visible. So if you play a guard here hoping to stop his damage, it will stop his damage. Working like that. Okay, then next difference. I went first, so I did not get the coin. Well, Magicka in this case. Magicka is here. Maximum is 12. It is your mana. However, he went second, so he has the coin. Well, the coin. The Elixir of Magicka. This is a support token thing that lies next to his character portrait. Now, why is this important? Well, first of all, you can use it 3 times, as it states there, 3 uses. So you can, during 3 turns, you can use it once per turn, activate it to gain 1 more Magicka for that turn only. right? So you basically get 3 free mana to use, which is quite insane. However, as it is a support thing and lies on the board, as you might expect, it can be destroyed. That has happened a few times, that someone has thrown a spell at my Magicka with like 2 uses left of it, and then destroyed it. And that happens, and it is possible. So you can stop the advantage of going second if you want to, and is capable of doing it, which I think is fantastic. More strategic depth. Then also, as you can see, around his health, or around his portrait rather, you can see these small blue things. They are called runes. They are positioned between with 5 health in between each one of them. So this one says 25, 20, 15, and so on and so forth. Working as follows: if he takes damage, or if I take damage, so as that I am reduced down to 25, 20, so on and so forth, then one rune will break. When a rune breaks, things happen. For example, some cards gain bonuses, some cards will rely on you destroying runes, and so on. Some cards will require you to have destroyed a rune before it gives you an effect, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of things. But, most importantly, when the rune is destroyed, the person who lost a rune draws a card. Just a card off the top of his deck. If the card has the word prophecy, as stated here, prophecy, you get to cast it immediately for free. Say I have 3 creatures here, I attack with 1 creature, it breaks a rune, he draws a card, it has prophecy, and he plays it. It can be a creature, it can be an action. Maybe it's a card that puts out a guard, stopping my other 2 creatures from attacking. That can happen. Maybe it's an action that deals 2 damage to all creatures in one lane. Maybe it summons a 2/2 Colovian Trooper with guard. Something like that. Prophecy cards are often more expensive than their normal counterparts. Nevertheless, they are quite good if you draw them when a rune is broken, because you basically get a free card. You can choose not to cast it, of course, but usually will want to cast it. I will see if I can't show off that feature at some point. Nevertheless, let's just get started here. Now you should know all the main key differences between the field. I will start by playing a Brutal Ashlander, which has a Last Gasp effect. So, when it is destroyed, deal 3 damage to random enemy. It says random enemy, meaning it can hit him. But I still think it is fine. I will play it here. No reason to play it in the shadow lane as of right now. I usually want to play things in the shadow lane as counters to what the opponent plays, or something like that. Right, so this is rather awkward. He just played a 2/2 for 2, and well, obviously I would want to trade this. I would potentially kill it with my Last Gasp effect, but I don't want to do that. I could also put a ward on it, basically Divine Shield if you compare to Hearthstone. Essentially blocking all damage from one source. Think of it as a bubble. And then do damage that way, but that seems rather idiotic, so I'm just going to attack face and deal 1 damage. Now, because of the runes, there are times when you will not want to attack face. Say you have just 1 damage and it will break a rune. Maybe it's not worth it. There's a lot of strategy involved in that, for instance. We'll get to that. Alright, so I drew a card. The Skilled Blacksmith. That's good. I'm going to play him. He can't be killed by him immediately, and this creature will die if he tries to trade. I could put a ward on it, but that seems unnecessary. Alright. So he goes all face, and oh, already we can see a prophecy card effect. So as you saw, I dropped below 25 health. Therefore I drew a card, and it happened to have this word prophecy on it, meaning I can cast it for free. This is a 2/4 creature with guard. And I could play it here. I don't think I need to play it here. I will play it on this side. I could put it into my hand if I wanted to, but I get to play it for free into a lane, like that. And then it counters. Here we can also see the cloak effect, as demonstrated by these clouds. However, I can target it with skills. For instance, I can take this one, the Yev Shield, which is a targeted effect. Okay, that's only for friendly creatures, never mind that. But I can target this one. I wouldn't want to give it a ward, but I could do it. Right? So Cloak is not as effective as Stealth in Hearthstone, but it is still really awesome. Also, they only stay cloaked for 1 turn. Right, so what shall I do now? I think I need to destroy these things. They're a bit dangerous. And the way I think I shall do so is... not really any good way to do it. But I think what I will do is I will trade here and then strike that in there and either kill it, deal damage to him, or to that and kill that. Either way, I think that will be fine. So I'll kill this first. And then I will attack here. And it killed that one, that's fine. Now he can trade there if he wants to. Actually, I don't want him to do that, so I am going to play this card, granting me a few guard creatures. And as noticed, they do not get Cloak. There we are. I could have put a ward on this one, but that would have negated it anyway, so it doesn't seem to make any sense. As noticed already, I believe, is that there's a lot of strategy involved in this. Not only because of the 2 lanes, but also because many effects affect only 1 lane, so it's very, very hard to get control over both sides of the board. I'm going to play this card, because it will trade, and it will also give me a buff on this creature here. Now, here's a question. Should I attack with this creature first, bringing him down to exactly 25, breaking a rune, eventually being a prophecy, and then having a bit higher health or damage to kill something if displayed, or should I just go for damage immediately? I think it is better to do it this way. Breaking the rune first, and it was a prophecy. And now, as he played it here, I get to destroy it immediately. I think I am going to ward this creature so it doesn't die, and then I'm going to attack. But as you can see here, there's a lot of strategy involved. You will need to plan out and calculate your damage dealing and output, so that you know how much damage you should deal to him, so as not to break a rune, and determine if it is worth breaking a rune. Right? So, for instance, if he would be at 21 and I would just be able to deal 1 damage to him, is it worth it because he would draw a card? I'd say it's not worth it if he is low on cards, because that might give him a chance to come back, which is the point of the rune system, of course, but still. If he has quite a few cards in his hand, I think it is okay, but it is still a lot of strategy involved in it. And I think it is just fantastic. I'm going to play him here, I think, protecting against that one and surviving, not having to risk my Baron of Tyr.
Now I'm angry.
And I believe this is fine.
Kill them all.
There we are. Okay, end the turn. Oh, that's kind of annoying.
Sword hand itches.
Guard, last gasp, draw a card. Ooh. Another interesting thing I would like to say about this card game is I absolutely adore the art, because they add the whole picture frame and so on. It's beautiful. This is, by the way, a foil card, or golden card if you will. It's called a legendary card, and it's not that special. It doesn't pop out as the Hearthstone cards do, but I still think it looks fantastic. Now this is quite a pickle. I think casting this here so it doesn't die, and then killing this creature. I can kill him, and I think I am going to, so that he don't do anything more stupid. I could play this creature. I don't think... why not, actually? I could play it here.
Welcome to the shadows.
There we are. But the art book is fantastic, and it looks really, really cool. Ah, it was worth playing, huh? That was a curse card. Creature -1/-1. This, by the way, is a common card. As you can see, it has no color and can be used in any type of deck. Quite simple.
Dead to me.
Okay, so let's attack there. Yeah, let's kill that. Now I'm going to place this one so I get more mana to play with. And just attack face it. Nothing much more to do. No reason to silence anything or deal 2 damage to all creatures in one lane. Oh, hello. As was seen here, this was an item, as can be stated there. and you equip it to a creature. Simple as that. When the wielder attacks, it deals 1 damage to all enemy creatures in this lane. That is ridiculously strong. You can silence away items if you want to, of course, and they're quite awesome. Really quite awesome. I think casting Expert, Atromancer and then trading here and here is what I am going to do. Should be quite alright. I'm going to place her here so she is rather protected for turn. All creatures always go to the right on the board. As far as I know, it doesn't matter. There's no positioning in this game that matters.
Stand fast.
It's just plop your creature down and then go for it. No positioning like in between or something like that, as far as I've seen for so far. Okay, that's interesting. Which is fine, I believe. You don't need to have positioning systems. Oh, more cards for me. Okay. Right. So this just got very, very interesting. Ooh, I love that card. How much damage do I have? That's 16. That's lethal. Okay. So I have lethal. I need to kill that. Here's another one. This creature has breakthrough. Right? So breakthrough works as follows. As it says there, excess damage is dealt to opponent. Meaning, you might think you're safe behind a guard. You're not. This one would deal 5 damage to the 4. It would die and excess 1 would be carried over to him. And I find this absolutely fantastic because that means that guard creatures are not almighty and powerful. You can still be killed even though you pop up a big, large guard creature. Not to say that it might be hard for you to have 2 guard creatures, one to put in each lane. Now, what I am going to do is I'm first going to play the Crystal Tower Crafter.
Shall we begin?
Just because I can. Then, playing the Shadowfen Priest allows me to silence this creature, removing the guard completely. Which is fantastic, and because I have a quest, I am going to silence this one. It doesn't make any sense, and I shouldn't do it right now. Nevertheless, I will do it. Now, here's a question. Which order should I attack him? I'm going to attack with the 3 first. Then with this 3.
Oblivion awaits you.
Giving him 1 card. Alright, attack with that one. Another card, no prophecies. And as you can see, there's a lot of strategy involved in what way and order you should attack him. For one thing, you should not attack with all creatures in one lane. Because then if you place a creature there, there's no way to kill it. Whilst you might be able to kill it if you have a creature you can still attack with. So there's a lot of strategy involved in the rules, and I think it is fantastic. I still make mistakes all the time. But on the other hand, the game's only been out... well, I've only had access to the game for a few days, but I still think it is fantastic. So I got a few shards. Shards are dust, if you think it that way. So that's great. Fantastic. Right, now we can choose Adept if we want to. Apparently I did not get quest rewards for this, but they are quest rewards. We can look at them. This is my character profile. You can have titles, which you earn through different ways. For example, summon 100 guards, complete 3 fighter guild quests, and it's just a nice little bit of flavor. Summon 20 daughters of Fyr, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of things in here. I think it's a nice little feature, and adds a lot. Well, it doesn't add a lot, but it's fun. Rank. 2 different arenas. You can play against other players, or you can play against AI, which I think is fantastic, because sometimes you just want maybe a quote easier time. Quests, of course. The quests are pertaining to a specific guild most of the time, the mages, the thieves, or the fighters guild. It doesn't really do anything except themes them in such a way as to fit that guild. Also, one of the fun thing is you can choose your character portrait. You can choose what type of race you're going to be. Maybe you want to be an Imperial. You can choose an Imperial. And as stated here, you can see what they like to do. The Imperials like to build large armies, for instance. And if you pick one of these as your avatar, first of all, they have different emotes, all of these races. I am not certain if each different avatar has different ones, but each different race certainly has. And also, at certain times when you level up, I'm not sure if it's every level or not, but during those times you may get an extra card, and it is most likely going to be of the same race as your avatar. and also sometimes when you receive bonus cards as a reward, they will most likely be for your own avatar's race, which I think is just awesome. Allows you to pick an avatar that looks awesome, or allows you to choose an avatar which belongs to a race for which you would like their creatures. Well, their cards. This is especially important because all the races are themed fantastically, I think. Fan-freaking-tastically. All the different cards belong to something. Some of them belong to races, and all different cards that belong to races are themed around that race, and I think it is fantastically made. Let's go have a look at the collection, shall we? So this is the collection. Here are decks, and here are all the cards. As can be seen, here are all the different categories. There is strength, intelligence, willpower, agility, and endurance. Then there are combined dual attributes and common ones, or neutral ones, if you will. Strength, well, all of these attributes theme their cards differently, as you would expect. And you get to choose up to 2 different attributes to add into your deck. For instance, my sorcerer has intelligence and endurance, as can be seen here. You can have a mono attribute deck, if you wish. Maybe that's good. There are cards that would benefit from that, actually. We shall have a look. So, strength, as you might expect, they are very strong creatures, like this one, 2 1s instead, whilst other attributes, like endurance, might have a 1/2 creature for 1 instead, and so on. Very aggressive, dealing damage, drawing cards, many items that add a lot of strength, dealing damage, and a few pings and so on. A few support creatures. This is an ongoing support effect. You play it once and then it stays on the board for the rest of the game, unless it's destroyed, and gives all red creatures +1/+0. This might be really good, especially if you have a mono red deck. Card limits in your deck. Well, you can have up to 3 of the same card, except for a few cards that have a gem at the top, which you can only have 1 copy of. You can, in this sense, have more than 1 of legendary cards, which is quite fantastic. As you can see here, for instance, orcs or other friendly creatures in this lane has +1/+0 and charge and so on, so very aggressive types. Orcs also like to buff each other, and if you have a fine red orc deck, then they are most likely going to stomp something, because they are crazy aggressive. Red guards like items, are themed around item. Wood elves, well, they like wounded things. So if something's wounded or something is about to die, something like that, then wood elves are what you like. Nords, these are all Nords, they all like, usually, to kill enemy runes. That's what they are mostly themed about. And endurance damage and so on. And this is quite fascinating. If the top card of your deck is red, gain +3/+0. Right? So there's a quote-unquote joust mechanic. It doesn't reveal the card, it just checks the card. And if it is red, you get the bonus. If it isn't, you don't. You never see the card. Neither you nor your opponent. And I think it's fantastic. It's a nice little thing. Charge, of course, exists. Summon is quite fascinating because it works like so. You play the creature, then the summon effects take place. So you can, unless it states summon, give another creature +1/+1. If it just says summon, give a creature +1/+1, you can buff the creature you just played, and I think it is a nice little addition. Let's just go through here. Let's see if I can find one of those. Here, for instance, summon, give a creature +5/+0 this turn. You could give it to this guy, but he couldn't, of course, attack the same turn. But you could do it. Some cards have this green arrow. These cards are cards that will upgrade when your avatar and your account levels up. You can right click it. Seeing here that at level 38, this Initiate of Hirkine will evolve into a child of Hirkine. Mostly just getting a buff, as you can see, gains 1 more attack and 1 more health, whilst costing the same, so it just purely becomes better. Sometimes you get to choose between two cards, and I think this is quite fantastic. You can craft this creature without having to wait for level 38 if you want to, but this is a way to get it for free. Intelligence card, I would say these cards are the control deck. Think blue in Magic, if you will. They are quote unquote annoying because they love wards. Many blue cards benefit from having wards and so on. And they like having wards and sustaining the board and then killing their opponent with different kinds of spells and buffing effects. Maybe not so much buffing effects, but spells specifically. Deal 2 damage to opponent and so on and so forth. This one is one of my favorite cards. And just basically controlling. Shackling is basically freezing, if you think of Hearthstone. And here we have some rather fancy ones. Other friendly creatures can't be shackled, which I think is a fantastic deck design choice. And maybe you like to have a shackling deck, and whenever you shackle someone it takes 3 damage, which I think is awesome. That's just a fancy thing to do. And so on. When you play an action, deal 2 damage to your opponent, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of different type of things. If you have more health than your opponent, give all friendly creatures a random keyword. This is also really fantastic, because it can really swing the game. Well, if you have more health than your opponent, you probably are ahead already, but nevertheless. Shuffle all cards into your hand with Prophecy. Into deck and draw that many cards, which I think is also quite cool. Also a support card, so you have 3 uses of it, which is a fantastic thing. You can destroy support cards, but I think that is alright, because I think the idea of support cards is cool. Willpower. These cards are based around the fact that you will gain a lot of them and quickly. They are mostly rather weak. Well, I say that, but some of them are, and based around the fact that you can get many of them out rather quickly. So they are rather cheap and buff each other in some one way or another most of the time. And work around that. So you can think Zoo-ish type of deck, like for instance this one, fill a lane with 1/1 Imperial Grunts, and so on and so forth. So they go on like that. Divine Fervor, friendly creatures have +1/+1, and so on. Let's continue onwards. Then we have Agility. Of course, there's a Narrow the Knee card. This is also quite a fantastic one. Move a friendly creature, draw a card. Move simply means moving from one lane to another. Agility likes to deal damage, pinging and having high attack value creatures, but also with some type of sneaky things to them, like lethal, for instance. Think Death Touch from Magic, and immediately kills something that it damages. Ward protects against lethal though, so bear that in mind. Then we have another fancy thing, Pilfer. Haven't covered that yet. That's awesome, actually. So it works like following. Renowned in Magic, you can think of it like that. When you play it and attack and deal damage directly to face, the Pilfer effect will activate. In this case, get +1/+1, which is awesome, because that makes you want to go face, so maybe you take a red-green deck with a lot of Pilfer cards. The red ones will probably buff the strength, and then you can go face as much as you want. With a few different utility cards that allows you to move and stealth and drain. Drain simply gives you that much health as it deals damage, so it's quite nice, and so on. Can attack another time. This is rather a fun one. So I think the green ones are rather fine. They are cool if you like to do sneaky quote things and so on. So it's quite fun. And finally, Endurance. Really tough creatures to remove. This one is quite fun. Siege Catapult can't attack unless your side of its lane is full. I think it's awesome. Gain more mana basically revolves around getting big things out and fast. So again, think green color in Magic, more or less. What's it called? It's called ramping up and then getting big creatures out, which I think is rather fun. Regenerating and lethal wards, keeping your things alive basically. And so on. So they are quite sustainable, which is why I have created a blue-purple deck. The purple cards will survive, and the blue cards will be able to remove the cards that are too big. I think it's really fun. It is like a blue-black deck from Magic, and I think it is quite fun to play. A rather slow and controlling deck. We have dual cards. These are usually quite awesome. Usually also cheaper with the effects than something that is monocolored is. For instance, there's a yellow card, willpower card, costs like 5 I think, which basically does the same thing, destroy an enemy creature. It has prophecy as well, but it can't destroy support cards. But I think it is fantastic that they add cards that are dual colored and that do slightly more than the monocolored type. And then of course we have neutral cards, which fit into any deck. This one is just why? It's fun. Adoring Fun will return, meaning it goes back into your deck. Simply as that. But it is quite fun, because it can't be silenced. There's a card also that says that your other creatures can't be silenced as long as it's in play, which I think is fantastic. It protects against silences, and all type of different things, where most are mostly neutrals, for instance. And I think this is fantastic. When creating a deck, you're not limited to 30 cards as in Hearthstone. You are instead limited, well, you're not limited, but you need to have a minimum of 50 cards in your deck. Yeah, 50 cards. But there's a maximum limit of 70 cards. Meaning, you can choose, and maybe if you absolutely want an extra card and you're already at 50, you can add it. It's fantastic, and I think having 50 cards in the deck, okay, it makes it much less unlikely for you to draw the one fancy combo that you want. But on the other hand, you can have 3 of a single card in the deck. So why not? It's quite fantastic, I think. Of course, you would like to stay at only 50 cards and not go to 70 for the simple reason that if you have more than 50 cards and your opponent has 50 cards, their deck will probably be more reliable because it is slightly smaller, more likely to draw the cards he needs than you are with your 70 card deck. But I think it is good to have flexibility there, and I think it is absolutely fun. In order to create the deck, you simply hit new deck and then you start adding cards and it will filter away. We can check that out right here, new deck. So let's say I want to make a green deck, I choose arrow in the knee, and I want to add some red cards, so let's add that Nord. And then it should filter away all the other ones, which is fantastic. You get a magical cost table down here, so on and so forth. You can, of course, search and add according to rarity and so on, which I think is cool. I think it is really... no. Thank you. I think it is really quite a strong contender when it comes to trying to beat down Hearthstone from its ledge, so to say, leading place. I think it is significantly enough different from Hearthstone that it will be able to fit a different type of audience than Hearthstone is, because it is more strategically involved, and if you come from Magic, maybe you don't like the simple nature of Hearthstone, but instead prefer something slightly more strategically involved. And I think this game, Elder Scrolls Legends, is right up your alley in that case. I must personally admit that I am starting to run a little bit tired of Hearthstone with all of its RNG, you always running into the same net decks and so on and so forth, being limited to a single class, not being really able to customize with all the normal cards and so on. In this case you can change which types of decks you have, and I believe that you can have, what is it 10 different combinations of decks, not counting monocolored decks, and I think that's cool. Then you have monocolors, of course, so 15 decks, but nevertheless. And I think it's fascinating and fantastically made. It's, of course, doesn't have all the special effects yet, but I think they are coming. As you could see in the test game, it did not look stunning, but it still looks rather good, and I really love the character designs, or card designs, should say. Oh, here we also have Arena. You will get one free solo arena from the story mode, and you need to finish a solo arena before you can go into versus arena, which is against other players. Solo arena you play yourself, and I think it is rather fantastically made, because there you get to experience other types of lanes, not just the shadow lane and normal lane. I think it is cool. And what I'm going to do is I am going to click the solo arena, and we are going to play a solo arena. Just as in Hearthstone, you draft a deck based off of 30 cards, And yes, let's draft in this video, and then in the next ones we are going to play it. So we're going to pay.
Welcome to the arena.
And then it works like this. You get to choose one class out of 3 different ones. Well, they all have the green one, so they are all going to be that. And this is also quite fun. All the combinations of decks have a different name. So this is, for example, the assassin class. This is a scout class. And this is the archer class. And so on. So what do I want? I like blue, but I also like the purple one. However, I think I shall choose the assassin because that sounds fun.
Presenting the assassin.
And there's a small tidbit for you. Intelligence relies on trickery and magic to defeat its foes. So on. This is a dark elf. That's an Argonian and wood elf. And then you get, just like in Hearthstone, 3 cards to choose from, adding to your deck. Up to 30 cards. Well, up to... you get to choose 30 cards. So what shall we choose? I think that sounds fascinating. 2 creatures for 1. Board clear. I have a feeling that with this deck, as it is green and blue, the green ones are not particularly strong, I will say. They are sneaky and cool that way, but I think it will be good to have a removal card. So I'm going to take Firestorm first. I don't think I will be able to get enough actions to get use of her, but I do like the Daring Cutpurse because it is Prophecy and it has Pilfer, so I'm going to take that. Alright, Camelon Hero. Summon, deal 2 damage to your opponent, alright. Dunmer Nightblade, draw a Steel Sword. I don't like this card, deal 2 damage to a friendly creature. Yes, it is a 3/4, but if you don't have another creature out on the board, it will deal its damage to itself and you will end up with a 3/2, which I guess is still alright. But I think the Dunmer Nightblade, because that +3 sword is quite good. As you can see here, it costs 2, but I still think it is good. Give you the opportunity to kill off something. Alright, Breakthrough, Charge, and Guard. This is rather tough. I don't think I want this one. I don't think a 5/5 for 6 with Breakthrough is worth it. The question is which one of these. Now, Charge is rather good, especially because you can buff it, and then you can charge, and Guard is also nice. I'm going to take the Charge one because it might act as removal. Another one, no. I don't think this is particularly good. You pay 2 mana, get a 0/1, draw a card. Okay, it is Prophecy, but still, I don't think it is good enough. This one could be good. Bretons, by the way, always, or almost always have wards, and something to do with wards. Wards, maybe. And I think I'm going to take that one, not a second one of those. Support card. Give a creature +1/+1, and I can use it 3 times once per turn. I think that is quite good, especially in a green deck, because then I can buff my creatures and make sure they maybe survive an extra attack or something, so I'm going to take that one. Don't like this card, I think it's good enough, so I believe... well, it is Cycle, and it might give you the damage you need, and I don't like the other ones. I already have one of those. I'm going to take it. Now this I like. Summon, give a creature lethal. I think that is just amazing. This one is alright, but it's a bit overcosted if you don't get it as a Prophecy. So I'm going to take the Skooma Racketeer. There's a card that also destroys a wounded enemy creature. This is a bonus. You get a 5/3 as well. Costs 3 mana more, but still probably worth it. This is also quite fun. Give all enemy creatures in the lane guard. Good way to get to a creature that is hiding behind a lot of guards, for instance. I had lots of success with this one when I played with it. But I think the Leaf Lurker is more like it. Arrow in the knee, we almost have to take it just because it is Arrow in the knee, and I don't like the other ones. Ooh, legendary card. Wabbajack, this seems fun. Here we can see, yes, that's a Breton. After loses a ward, does something. However, I'm thinking one of these. I don't think this one is a particularly good idea. I believe Udachwing. But it is 12 cost. No, you know what? I'm going to take the Daggerfall Mage because it lets me draw a Tome of Alteration, which is a +2/+2 draw a card buff, which I think is awesome. So I'm going to take that. If you draw it on your first turn, fine, it's alright. But I don't think it's worth it if you don't draw it on your first turn, so I'm not going to take it. +0, +3. I'm going to take that because it's a nice buff. Here you can see the Steel Sword, which is actually what you get from the Dunmer Nightblade. So I'm not going to take that, but I am going to take this one because I think it is a nice and awesome utility card. Oh, this one. No question about it. This is an awesome card. I think anyways. So good. Also activates Last Gasp effect. So for instance, if you are on your third turn, then you can play Dunmer Nightblade and you went second, and then take extra Magicka and Soul Split it. It will die, giving you a Steel Sword and 2 creatures, which I think is awesome, so I'm going to take that, no questions asked. Direct damage is always good. This one is also quite awesome. This one can give itself guard, which I think is quite fun, but I'm going to take this one. I don't think this one is a good idea. Here we are, other friendly creatures can't be silenced, which I think is just an awesome idea for a card. But I think the Wraith... Well, no. I think this one actually, because it is well statted and it doesn't rely on having to survive a turn, and this is quite costly anyways. It is a persisting effect, so we will get additional Ice Bites, but I'm still going to take the Keeper of Whispers. Another Soul Split. Ooh. Summon, move another friendly creature. When a friendly creature moves, give it +1/+1. This is an interesting idea, but I don't think I have enough move effects for it to be worth it. I think I'm going to take the Cycle instead. This is rather nice. It will probably trade with a 2-drop, provided it is an aggressive one. And I don't think I need another 3 at the moment, so I'm going to take her. I also love the idea of this card. Draw a card if it costs 7 or more, reduce its cost by 2. It's just so amazing. It's such a simple effect, but you can really plan around it, sort of. And I think it is a nice idea. We only have 1 7-cost creature, so I won't take it. And I don't think she's worth it, not in this deck. I'm going to take him. Now, this one is quite nice, especially if you draw it as a Prophecy, because then it can stop a lot of damage. This one is a bit too aggressive. This one is quite fun, but I'm going to take the Portcullis because it might save me. I only have 7 actions, on the other hand I only have 30 cards. I don't think I will take her. I'm debating which one of these. I think it's better to take this one, because it has guard, and it is more reliable than that one. Of course you might get your action, but I'm going to take this one. Ooh, this is... I'm gonna take her. Oh yes, Dark Rift. Activate, deal 1 damage to opponent. If Dark Rift has dealt 5 damage, sacrifice it to summon a Storm Ortronach, which is a 7/5 with ward. You have to use it for 5 turns before it does something, and it only deals the damage to your opponent. But I think the idea of the card is amazing. Steal all items from an enemy creature, and then equip it to yourself. Why not? Think so. Breton Conjurer is the one I take though, because I like it. I think it's awesome. I like the idea of her, but I think she's a bit too costly for that effect and those stats. I think this guy is what we want. A -1/-1 buff and a 1/1 guard. Why not? Might trade. Ooh, Elixir of Deflection. Give a creature ward. I love this card. I used it once in another arena and I think it is fantastic, so I'm going to take that. I think I want this guy. The Frenzied Witchman, I think, because this is quite an aggressive deck, so I'm going to take him. Wisp Mother, this is also quite fun, and actually we have quite a lot of low-costed minions. And you play her on the Shadow Lane, and the next turn you can play a lot of 2-cost minions. I mean, it's fantastic. Wait, what? Your opponent summons a 2/1 Mournhold Guardian with guard. Ooh. Oh, he is called a traitor. Needs a Dark Elf. I don't have enough goblins for that. I'm going to take her. And then our deck is complete. Then it works as follows. You get to choose which one of these you attack in any order. Even if you lose against it once, you will still get a chance to attack it again. Until you lose 3 times, you can keep going. When you lose 3 times, you are out, and you get a reward. Always getting a pack, at the very least, and then the additional ones depending on how high you come. When you have defeated these all 8, you get to fight the boss, which is usually cheating, some way or another. Also, some of these fights will have different effects, either on the battlefield or pertaining to one of your decks. And I think this is quite fantastic. So, therefore, I am going to put a cut here, and when we come back, we shall do some fighting in the solo arena and hopefully not die in the first video. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I hope, like me, you will find the Elder Scrolls Legend to be a fantastic card game. I say fantastic, I mean it's really good, and it might turn out great. So let's say it that way instead. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and farewell.